Welcome to The Derby Difference, the podcast where we highlight the people and ideas that bring our community to life at Derby Academy. Today's episode is all about summer, and not just any summer. Derby's summer programs have been completely reimagined for the 2026 summer, and at the center of it all is TJ Coogan, our Director of Auxiliary and Summer Programs. From new program tracks and expanded offerings to a more flexible and family-friendly experience, this is a whole new chapter for summer at Derby Academy. Today, we'll take a look behind the scenes at what's changed, what families can expect, and why this summer might just be the best summer yet. All right, TJ,
How's it going?
thanks so much for joining me.
Absolutely.
You excited to be here?
I'm very excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you.
Ah, great.
Very cool. So, as I mentioned in the intro, Derby Summer Arts, formerly
Right.
known as Derby Summer Arts,
Right.
has gone through this massive change.
Yes.
What sparked the decision to completely reimagine the whole program? How did it get started? And tell me a little bit about why you decided to rename it, redo it,
Right.
the whole 9 yards.
Well, I started almost exactly a year ago.
Mhm.
It was almost exactly a year ago that I came on to
I
Derby
remember the
campus.
very day.
Yeah. And when I came onto campus, Dr. Ramsden said that she wanted a change in the summer. And not because things were bad, but because she thought we could do more. And I agreed with her. I took a look at what Derby was offering and I said, I know that Derby can do more just based on the campus that's here, right?
Sure.
So what we did is we went back and we took what we've always done and kind of repackaged it and rebranded it. So calling it Derby Summer Programs now, which is an umbrella term, we could now have our different tracks where we could highlight things we've always done. We've always had more than just arts, but we had kind of become that arts program. But I wanted to show that we're more than that. So we rebranded, but then we've also added some more programs, which we'll talk about later.
If a family attended Derby
Yeah.
Summer Arts in the
Yes.
past, what would be different this year in 2026? Like, when I'm dropping my kids off the
Right.
first day, what's noticeably different?
So one of the things I wanted to really do is to make the overall experience day to day not much different. Because what I keep saying is we're rooting it in the traditions. I wanted to take what we do well and exemplify it and then just fix the things that we could do better. So a lot of what we're doing is repackaging what we've always done, right? So now by calling it Derby Summer Programs, we have summer arts, summer sports, summer STEM, and then something we're calling Camp Derby. By doing it that way, families coming onto campus, they're dropping their kids off. They know they're in a safe place where they're going to have high quality programs and they're going to have a great time, right? So what we're doing with this rebranding and repackaging is just offering them what we've always offered, but really telling them in a better way. We're telling our story a lot better than we've ever told it.
I love that. What was the thinking behind the structure of Camp Derby, Summer Arts,
Right.
STEM, and sports?
Again, we've always offered all of those things, but it was hard to see that from the outside. You really had to almost register for camp and then get our course catalog, which came after you registered, to know, oh, I can also take a STEM class. I can do robotics. I can be in field sports or court sports. And so I think a lot of families were passing us by because they thought, oh, Derby Summer Arts, my kid's not really into arts. So now we're really explicitly telling families, no, we offer so much more and we can be that place that you come for all of your kids.
How does this new track system help families better navigate and choose the right experience for their child?
Yeah, so when I came on, the first thing I did was I observed, because I came in late in the process. Registration had already started. The whole planning for the summer had already started. So I sat back and I observed for the whole summer. And I saw what we did and what we did really well. When we repackaged everything, what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at what were we missing or what were families missing from what we offered. So I looked back at our registration statistics. I went back and looked at the data and I saw that we were enrolling about the same number of families per year, but our enrollment was dropping. So what was happening? Well, we were losing families. We were losing that second or third kid.
Yeah.
because mom or dad would say, hey, we're going to send you to Derby Summer Arts. And kid one would say, yes. And kid two would say, I don't do arts. So then they'd go off and they'd find something else for kid number two, which makes their lives less convenient.
Yeah.
They've got 2 drop-offs, 2 pickups, and 2 different systems to navigate. What we're doing is we're saying, no, we've always offered these things. So now a family can come to Derby Summer Programs and kid A can say, I want to do that play. And kid B can say, I want to learn how to sail. And kid C can say, I just want to go to camp.
Yeah.
And we have something for all of them. We've always had that, but now we're really explicit. And I got to say, in the age of like search engine optimization, we were also behind the ball because families would search for camps and it would push us down because they wouldn't, if they didn't search for arts
camps, yeah.
we might not even come to the top of the list. Now, that's not the only thing we're about, but we weren't telling the story of what we were really offering, so parents weren't even considering us.
Yeah, part of our strategic plan for the next 5 years is telling the Derby story.
Right.
That this falls exactly under the umbrella of telling the correct story.
Yes, absolutely, because so many families who knew what we were, they might be coming back, but those kids get older.
Yeah.
And it's the new families. So what we've found in this first year is that we have doubled the number of new families from last year. And it was little things. We haven't done many huge changes. They feel huge from the outside. But really, structurally, when kids come on campus, their experience during the day will be very similar. Staff's experience during the day will be very similar. It's just the way we're telling that story.
Telling the story is super important. Do you see students sticking with one track, mixing and matching? How do you see that playing out?
The best thing is you can do both, right? Back in past years, because of the structure of camp, and that's the thing that we did in the most major way was change the structure, and I'll explain that in a minute, right? In the past, you were stuck to your track, right? Because you either came for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 5 weeks, and that was it. Those were your options. Now you can come and do 1 week of a culinary camp. You can do 2 weeks of a dance camp, leave to go to Nantucket for a week, and come back and do 1 week of an art camp. And so that ability to like mix and match is just a game changer for our families. It's something they couldn't do in the past. So what do I expect the kids to do? Both. We've got kids who are straight on all arts all summer in our registration system. But then we've got kids who are doing Little Mariners for a week, Camp Derby for 2 weeks. And then, so it's really dependent on the family. And that's what I wanted to offer families. Options and flexibility. Flexibility is like the key word for the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As a dad of 2 daughters that are all over the map, flexibility during the summer is so huge because I don't know when our vacation plans are. No one does. And yet we're already signing up for camps, right? In like January. So that flexibility option is huge. You kind of mentioned the Little Mariners. You mentioned some sailing, some sports. Tell me about the new exciting offerings within each track.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we did was by breaking summer arts into its own separate entity, what we're able to then do is specialize. So if a kid wants to be in the play, we've got 2 options, well, actually more like 6 options for that. We've got, for older kids, some 1-week options for like 1-act plays and a musical workshop. So that's a great 1-week intensive. Or the older kids can be in the musicals. That's going to be 9 to 5 Junior. Dolly Parton fans will love that, right? And then for the younger kids, High School Musical Junior. So those would be 3-week options, right? But then you could also do a 2-week dance camp where you could just specialize in dance, or a 1-week art camp where you could specialize in art. These specialized camps are happening in the morning. So the great thing about it is you focus on that activity in the morning, and then in the afternoon, it's like a traditional camp. It's like it's always been at Derby. The other thing is we've partnered with some outside organizations. Now, some of those outside organizations are going to be coming in-house. So that would be like Inspirit AI. So Inspirit AI is this partnership between Stanford and MIT computer scientists. They've designed the program where the kids are learning about AI, and they've got graduate students and undergrads teaching it. We've also partnered with the Hingham Maritime Center. So that's the sailing and Little Mariners that I'm talking about. It's a no-brainer of a partnership. They're literally down the street from us. They run their own programs, but they don't run their own camp. So for families who want a full day option where you can send your kid to camp for a whole day and part of it is learning how to sail, we're your option. If you've got other activities during the day and you just want to do 2 hours of sailing or rowing, or they have options for you, but we're that option where, well, I need them to do something all day, or I've got 2 other kids who don't want to sail.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what do I do with them?
Yeah.
We can have other programs available for them. So that's kind of the new stuff is our partnerships.
Very cool. So you mentioned the partnerships with
Yeah.
AI. How do you introduce those concepts in a fun way? Like, what's their sort of tagline as to, because AI is this big sort of
Right.
overwhelming thing for a lot of people. How are they going to teach it to our kids without overwhelming them? Because I'm overwhelmed thinking about it.
I think a lot of parents, especially parents who are in tech and business and science, right? They use AI on a daily basis. But when they think of their kids using AI, they're just thinking they're going to make weird paintings or they're going to cheat on their homework,
Yeah.
right? So the idea behind Inspirit AI is they're saying, no, we're going to teach kids how scientists and researchers actually use AI.
So cool.
And in a very siloed way, they're not going to be out in the general ChatGPT universe. So the stuff that they're doing this summer is not going to be accessible by the rest of the internet. They're going to keep it in-house, and they're going to learn how to use the tools of AI to solve problems. And they're going to focus on environmental problems with the world. Like, how do you solve traffic problems in Boston? That's something we all
I would
deal
love that.
with, right?
Yeah.
How do you solve the rising sea level problems? For those of us who live close to the ocean, that's a real
thing.
We really live with that.
Yeah.
So they use the tools of AI to solve problems, and they do projects with their fellow campers. So it's really like learning how to use the tools of AI, which like I said, a lot of people in the business world are already using them, and not to cheat on things, but to actually get stuff done.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to teach the kids how to do.
Very cool. So changing course just a little bit. We've talked about flexibility.
Yep.
I appreciate it. All the families appreciate it. What does that mean? So what is the schedule going to look like? How is it improved from years past?
So like I said, in years past, you had 3 options. You could have a 2-week, 3-week, or 5-week option. And then within that, it was these specific 2 weeks or these specific 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I want to do the middle 3 weeks. You couldn't do that.
Right.
We've expanded to 7 weeks long. We've added 1, 2, and 3-week programs. So you can literally mix and match your 1, 2, and 3-week programs. You can come for 1 week and that's it.
Yeah.
You can come for 1 week, go to New Hampshire to Lake Winnipesaukee for 2 weeks, come back and do 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And you just couldn't do that in the past. So that's the number one piece of flexibility. The second piece is that every single one of our camps is a half-day camp. Now, I know what parents are going to say, I need them for the full day. Every camp has the option to add on that full day. When you add on that full day, you're adding our afternoon, which is really where we're rooting in our traditions, because our afternoon, starting with lunch, is the same every day. And it's the same as it was last year. We have lunch. We have our community meeting called Noontime Show.
Love it.
Then we go on to what's called festival period, where the kids on a daily basis get to choose a new activity or go to the same activity every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have 2 full periods of choice periods, where in the next coming weeks, they'll have a course catalog where they get to choose their courses for that whole week. So it's really a mix and match of different things that you couldn't do anymore. And the great thing about that is, for that kid who wants to come to camp, but they have tennis lessons 3 days a week in the afternoon, you don't have to pay for a full day of camp to miss out on the afternoon 3 days a week. You can come for a half day and leave at noon. And then you can do those other activities. You're on a swim team. You have horseback riding. You still want to do the dance program that your dance studio has. You can do all of those things and still have the options. We don't have tons of kids who've signed up for half-day options, but we have some. And we also have a couple of families who are just coming for the afternoon.
Oh, interesting.
They've got morning activities, and they said, but we want to come for the afternoon. Can we do that? And we said, yeah, you don't have to be in a morning program to do the afternoon. Just come for the afternoon. Join us for lunch, stay for the rest of the day. So those are things that we could not have done in the past. Or if you did them in the past, you'd be paying for the full day,
Yeah.
but only using half of it.
Right. Not
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
So the registration
Yep.
process, you revamped that as well.
Mm-hmm.
What's different? So if there's a family out there that hasn't quite signed up yet,
Right.
but still wants to, what are they going to see on the website that maybe is different than in years past?
It's just a lot more user-friendly. One of the things we did is we stripped back the entire registration system and rebuilt it from the ground up. So now when you log onto the page, right, it's going to look more user-friendly. And you'll have all of your options just laid out in front of you. So you can click and choose exactly what you want. The process in the past was similar, but it was just clunkier. So our staff has gone through incredible amounts of training this year so that we could offer a lot more ease to families. And we're finding that they are having a lot easier time doing it, so that we're not going back and fixing problems or helping people who, I can't seem to log on. I can't seem to
That was
find
me.
this.
That was definitely me
Yeah.
in the past. I'm a dummy when it comes to this stuff.
And so the ease of use, it's
Yeah.
all about ease of use. So that's what we've done.
Awesome.
Yeah.
People in my position that
Yeah.
can barely log on to a website, I appreciate that so much.
No problem.
I know that you guys did a lot of hard work on the back end
Yeah.
to make dummies like me feel better about ourselves. So I really
good,
appreciate
good.
that.
Thanks, Jeff.
So Derby is known for improving both mind and
Right.
heart. How does that philosophy show up in the summer programs?
I think if you look at a program like our STEM programs, you can come and do in our makerspace, right? In the Healy Innovation Center, like you can take courses there where you're making 3D toys and different robots and everything else. And so we have programs like that where we're really stimulating your mind, right? The culinary arts program, Emmy Gar, who's the librarian in the lower school, she's our culinary instructor in the summer. Emmy has an incredible program laid out where she's got on day 1, we're planning, on day 2, we're preparing, on day 3, we're baking or we're building or we're creating. And so you're going through the whole process where you're not just taking a box of, cookie mix out and mixing it together, but you're learning the whole process and you're being creative about it. And she's got themes for the whole week. So one week they're going to be creating sweet treats. So they're going to be creating their own candy shop, right? One week they're going to be creating their own food trucks. And then going around camp and serving to the rest of the campers.
So cool.
It's, so that's we're stimulating the mind, right? That whole heart idea comes with those traditions like that noontime show. We get together as a community every day. So whether you're in sports or STEM or the arts, the whole camp comes together every day. And creating that sense of community is really where that heart idea comes from. We care about each other. We're all the same. We're all campers. We're all at Derby. Even the morning drop off, the smiles I see on kids' faces, but also staff faces. Everyone's genuinely happy to see each other.
And parents to drop their kids off.
Yeah, well, they're happy for a different reason, but no, but I think they're also happy because they know my kid is going to be safe. They're going to be welcomed. They're going to be happy, and they're going to be cared about. And that's where we bring in
and
that
known,
part.
right? We talk about that at Derby all the
Yes.
time. It's like every morning I dropped Shay and
Absolutely.
Kendall off. It was open the door. Hi, Kendall.
Yes.
Hi, Shay. And it didn't matter which camp counselor was opening the door. They all knew my kids, whether they had them or didn't.
It's the beauty of our size too. We're big enough where you can do a lot of things, but we're not too big where it's impersonal.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. It felt really personal every time that we dropped off. That's why you saw the big smile on my face. It wasn't because I had like
because you were normally here working, you know? So like
for sure.
But you knew that your kids were happy and entertained, and
I never stop working.
No.
Ever. Nose to the grindstone. How do you balance this sense of fun,
right,
but then also have skill building and other sorts of, we talked about mind and heart. You have the mind and the STEM programs and stuff. How do you balance the two of those things in a summer camp setting?
I think the best camps do that, right? The best camps balance that. It's obviously all about fun because it's the summer. And when we're talking about STEM and stimulating the mind, it's not school. There's no homework.
Right.
There are no tests. But we're showing kids that learning is not just about the classroom. It's not just about taking tests and getting A's. It's also just about that lifelong learning. So the things that they're doing here, like acting in a play, I have adult friends who still do that. And not as professionals, just they belong to the
Community
local,
theater.
yeah,
Yeah.
community theater or performing music. Yeah, we know people who are professional musicians, but I have a neighbor who is a realtor, but on the weekends, he's still a professional saxophone player because it brings him joy.
Sure.
It gives him a little extra money when he performs at a nightclub or a wedding. He does a lot of weddings. But showing kids that that can always be part of your life and you can always find enjoyment in these things. Learning isn't just something you have to do. It's something that can be fun for the rest of your life.
I love that.
And you can do that at camp better than anywhere else as a kid.
What do you hope students gain after a full summer at Derby, beyond just having a great time?
But 60% of our kids are not Derby students. And that's not necessarily typical. A lot of schools like ours who have summer programs, most of the kids in their summer programs are from their student body. We're not. We're flipped the opposite. And so part of what we hope is that kids and families know who Derby is.
Sure.
You know, we're not the most visible campus in the world. We're not hiding, but we're not on the main street.
Sure. We're tucked. We're tucked away.
Yeah, you know. And so people might see the sign for Derby Academy and wonder what that is. And we have hundreds of kids who walk away here knowing, oh, I know what Derby is. And Derby is always connected to something positive in their minds. So we're helping Derby like spread that message that we are a positive part of the community. And we're spreading that to families who are not connected to Derby in any other way. And I will say the number of our staff members who are not alumni of the school, but who came here in the summers and continue to come here for sometimes 30 plus years. And some of them even become staff members here.
Right.
Mr. Verrier,
Oh, yeah.
who is a treasured part of the Derby community with all those incredible drama things that he puts on. His first connection was Derby Summer Arts.
Yeah.
You know, so that's like, and he'll be directing that play this summer. 9 to 5 was his creation. So that's what we were trying to create. We're trying to create a connection between Derby and the whole community through camp.
So this is obviously a big step forward for
Yeah.
Derby summer programs. Where do you see the Derby summer programs going in the next few years?
So we've got a couple of plans. The partnerships that we've developed, we want to maintain and strengthen. We're already in conversations with a couple of other outside groups. I don't want to jinx anything, but some of those would be offsite programs. Some of them would be onsite programs with partnerships. What the partnerships allows us to do is get different programs that we might not be able to offer otherwise and offer them to our families. We also are in very serious conversations about extending our school year transportation program to the summer programs. So if anybody's familiar with, you know, our north and south buses that, you know, the south bus follows that 3A corridor and the north bus goes up into Boston, we really want to expand our footprint by expanding transportation to camp.
Yeah.
It's something a lot of camps do. It's something we could do very easily because we already do it during the school year. And that would bring a lot more opportunities for campers, but a lot more people onto this campus as well, which we really would love.
That would be great. If you had to describe summer 2026 in one sentence to prospective families, what would you say?
Yeah, so I'm going to steal it. Mrs. Akins in our office, the assistant director in our office came up with this. We're building for the future, but rooted in tradition, because that's really what we're doing. We're building for the future. We're adding, we're expanding, we're transforming, but everything's rooted in that tradition. I had a meeting yesterday with Verna Hampton. Verna is one of the prized faculty members of Derby Summer Arts.
She's
And
fantastic.
has been since the day the program was founded.
Yeah.
Now, Verna is beyond the age when most people retire and has no plans to ever retire. And I hope she never does, because she brings so much to the program. And that connection, people like Sean Verrier, who started as a teenager in this program, people like our dance lead, Leah Putnam, who was a camper here as a little kid, is an instructor and department lead in our dance department and has sent her kids here. That's the type of tradition that we're talking about. The number of kids last summer who wore their parents' Derby summer T-shirts from like 1989 or 1993, and they would wear them. Oh, my mom came to this camp.
That's cool.
I have those conversations all the time.
Yeah.
And again, they're not necessarily Derby families, like they didn't come here as students, but that connection to this summer program, it's really special. And I'm so lucky to have inherited that.
So cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool
Yeah,
part of
very
your
cool.
job. What's one program that you're most excited about personally for this summer?
I would say it's that Hingham Maritime Center. So my connection to that program goes back to a prior camp that I ran at the South Shore Y in Hanover. And the Y and what was formerly known as the Lincoln Sailing Center had a partnership. That broke up when Duxbury built the Maritime Center, Duxbury Bay Maritime School. And the Y started going there for a lot of reasons, mostly it's logistically easier for them to get there. And so I identified the Maritime Center before I even got hired here. In fact, I proposed it to Dr. Ramsden before I got hired here. And I said, we need to create partnerships. And the fact that in year 2 of my tenure here, we're already doing it. Our most popular camp right now, the camp that we have the longest wait list on, is Little Mariners. That's a program that they run where they're not actually, other than one day getting out on the water, they're working in the tidal pools of Hingham Harbor, and they're looking at the marine life and, you know, how the water is brackish because it's got fresh water and salt water. And these are 5, 6, and 7-year-olds learning about this. And then on the last day of the program, they get on their motorboats and they take them out to one of the islands in the harbor. I mean, this is just an incredible program. I wish I was 5 and I could do it, right? But it's also our most popular program because it's that different type of thing that you can't often do with kids that age. And so being able to offer a program like that, it just really, it juices me up.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So this will be our last question. I ask all my victims, or I should say, the people that sit on the couch with me, what does the Derby difference mean to you?
I mentioned earlier that I've been here almost exactly a year. And from the day I walked onto campus, even before I was hired, everyone is just so kind. That kindness shines through in everything. You can see it with the kids because they're not only kind to adults, which not all kids learn to do that, right? They're kind to each other. And when they aren't, it's so easy to teach them to be because that kindness is just part of this culture.
Sure.
That's an enormous difference. Now, I've been in education for 25 plus years, and I've been in some great schools and I've been in some, you know, and that's not always present. And it's really special here. And to me, that's the biggest Derby difference is that kindness.
Love it.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. That wraps up this episode of The Derby Difference. A big thank you to TJ Coogan for giving us a closer look at the exciting new direction of Derby's summer programs. With new opportunities to explore, create, compete, and connect, it's clear that summer at Derby Academy is more than just a camp. It's an experience built with intention, energy, and a whole lot of fun. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes featuring the people and programs that make Derby such a special place. Until next time, enjoy the sunshine. I think it's coming.
Yeah, someday.
It's coming, I think. And keep living the Derby difference.